Historic, no? Historical roots, the issue of originality. People talked about preserving it for the future generations. Jimmy mentioned the idea of outstanding, and this is something we'll come back to again and again. So there's quite a few ideas here, but I think the key message that we'll come back to over and over again is that, look, in the world there's a lot of heritage sites, no? Cultural sites, natural sites, and each and every one of these sites has certain values. It may be value for the local villagers, or it might be for the whole people in the whole country, or it may be for the whole Asia. But the thing about the World Heritage Sites is that it's recognized by everyone around the world as something that they cherish, that they are concerned about, that they have a hand in protecting. And so that's the key difference between just your local heritage site. Like your grandmother's house obviously has a lot of meaning for you because you have a lot of happy memories eating and visiting her and so forth when you were a child. But your grandmother's house, unfortunately, I have no connection to your grandmother's house. When I drive past it, it's just another house, you know? I don't have any of those memories, and I don't have any feeling like I need to protect your grandmother's house, unfortunately. But for you, it's very important, and that's fine. But on the other hand, if I go and visit the Great Wall, I'm instantly, even if I don't know what it is, I'm instantly attracted, and I feel like it's somehow very powerful and very mystical. Something going on there. Even though I didn't build it, my grandfather didn't build it, my great-grandfather didn't build it, but somehow I have a connection there. So this is the difference between just local heritage and world heritage, and I think it's the thing that brings all the visitors to come to Penang and Malacca, is because they see that it's something which is really, as Jimmy said, outstanding. So this is the key word for world heritage. And it's something that we want to pass down to the future generations. So today, in the next session before lunch, we're going to talk a little bit about, so what is a World Heritage Site? Especially technical terms, which is, what are the criteria for being a World Heritage Site? Because in fact, it's a quite long and complicated procedure that needs to be very clearly explained, a lot of justification, a lot of academic references. So in fact, it's very important to look at these criteria so we understand why this site and not that site. Because every year, the World Heritage Committee meets and it looks at a lot of proposals. And quite a number of proposals are discarded as not being able to prove this outstanding value. Even though, the people who write the proposal, of course they say, this is the best site in the world. This is the best palace in the world. This is the most important fort in the world. This is the most biologically diverse forest in the world. Because of course, as a local person, you feel like that. My site is the best. This is normal. But when it's looked at from a global perspective, by scientific criteria, by academic criteria, by conservation criteria, actually, not everyone will agree that your opinion, will stand. And so this is the whole World Heritage process. And so there are different types of World Heritage, and we'll look into that. We'll look specifically at the criteria. We'll look at the procedure, how a site becomes a World Heritage Site. We also look a little bit at how we communicate these World Heritage values. And we're going to look at that more in Module 4 when we look at the issues of interpretation. And then we also talk a little bit about how do we connect these cultural values, which are very abstract, with the things that you see on the ground. So we're talking about multiculturalism of Penang and Malacca. But when you're walking around, exactly what are the things that you point to for your visitors so that they themselves can associate the abstract value with the thing which is actually in front of them. And so many of these sites that we know as World Heritage Sites, they need no introduction. They're iconic. Someone said that, I think in the back table, Stonehenge was one of your favorite sites. And so sites like Stonehenge, they stand the test of time. But we also have sites that are not man-made sites, but natural sites. And so sites like the Grand Canyon in the United States, these incredibly important sites geologically, biologically, and so forth. And so the World Heritage Convention is international framework that protects sites both of cultural as well as natural value. And so here we have a map that shows the distribution of World Heritage Sites around the world. And so you can see that the green ones, of course, are the natural sites. The yellow ones are the cultural sites. And then we also have some that are half-half, half green and half yellow. So these are called mixed sites. Mixed is a site which has outstanding value both for culture and for nature. And so it's not just like Hoi An, which is a town which happens to be next to a river. It is a kind of cultural landscape, but that river has no value at the global level. It doesn't have any important fish species, it doesn't have any important forest species, so it's not like a mixed site as such. So a place like Hoi An is a cultural site. But there are some sites that are equally valuable both for culture side and for nature side, and these are these mixed sites. And there's also some sites in red. Which do you think they are? I heard endangered. Endangered, why? Damage. Yeah. And so these sites are put in a list called the List of World Heritage in Danger. They are sites where it's recognized that the outstanding value of that site is really vulnerable and in danger of being extinguished or disappearing. So for instance, in our immediate neighborhood, we have the Sumatra rainforest in Indonesia, which is a World Heritage Site, which is now on the list in danger, precisely because of some of these issues having to do with the management of the site, the sustainability of the site. It means that the government and the world community needs to really give it a huge amount of attention and assistance in order to reverse the damage that is going on now. We also have sites like in Congo, if you've been following the Virunga National Park, where they have gorillas and other large mammals. It's constantly in the news that the park manager was recently attacked, almost assassinated, and there's huge poaching going on in the site. So the species that are existing in the Virunga National Park in Congo are at risk of being decimated. And so if the gorillas go, then there's no meaning for the park. It would go as well. So it's no longer going to be a World Heritage Site. So it's a mechanism not to bring shame to the government, but it's a mechanism to alert everyone that the site is now in danger and it needs assistance. And quite often we find that once a site is placed on the list in danger, there's a lot of investment and a lot of technical assistance that is given to the site, and hopefully they can reverse the situation and then come out in a more positive way. And so based on this, where do you see the greatest concentration of World Heritage Sites? Yes?
The stakeholder.
Yes.
Withdraw from the site.
Yeah, it's possible. So in fact, in the whole history of the World Heritage Convention, which has been around since 1972, there have only been 2 sites that have been dropped from the list. The decision to remove a site from the list is in the power of the World Heritage Committee. So it's actually not UNESCO that has the power to do this, but it's the committee of 21 countries that have signed the World Heritage Convention, and the committee takes the decision which sites to become World Heritage, but conversely, which sites to remove from World Heritage. So the 2 sites that were removed were, the first is a cultural site, which is Dresden in Germany, previously in East Germany. So it was listed as the cultural landscape of the Elbe River Valley. And so Dresden sits in this river valley. And what happened is the local authorities decided to build a bridge over the river. And this bridge was designed in a way, it was very modern, and it was in a location that would really ruin the beautiful landscape if you're looking from the town into the whole river. And so they were warned by the World Heritage Committee, look, if you all are going to build this bridge, you will be removed from the World Heritage List. And the government insisted that because of congestion, because of the traffic situation, they wanted to build the bridge. And so they went ahead and they confirmed the plan to build the bridge. And then as a result, the World Heritage Committee had no choice but to remove it from the list. So in this case, the stakeholders themselves didn't withdraw per se, but they went ahead so far in their plans for developing the site that it left no choice to the World Heritage Committee but to remove them. And they knew that their actions would lead to removal, and they decided anyway that they would go for it because they felt that the development pressure and the development need was more important than the conservation issue. So that's one example. The other case is in Oman. In Oman, they had a natural park, which was the wildlife sanctuary for this species of deer called the oryx deer, which has these very long, pointy horns. And so what happened was they found gas, natural gas, in the area, which was actually the sanctuary for the deer. And in the same way, the government decided that gas was more important than deer. And so what they said was, look, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the size of the World Heritage designated property down to 10% of the original property. So the deer can live in this 10%, and 90% we're going to drill for gas. So the choice was quite clear as well. They came to a fork in the road and they chose gas. So the same way, the World Heritage Committee said, I'm sorry, you're also going to be removed from the list. And they knew, the government knew when they took that decision that eventually it would lead to that consequence. So in a sense, they didn't withdraw, but they made a decision that would lead to withdrawal. So these are the two cases that have existed. And they came up actually quite recently in the last 10 years. So before that, for the first 30 years of the convention, there was the feeling among member states that, oh, they're just threatening. They're never going to remove anything from the list. They're just, speaking loudly, but the convention has no teeth. People always felt like we can do whatever we want because no one is going to remove us because it's too politically embarrassing, and the committee members don't want to embarrass the fellow member state, and so on and so on. But in fact, after the two delistings, then now all the member states are a little bit, careful about what they do, because they now realize there's a precedent and that the committee, if pushed, will take action to delist a site. So being in red color can lead two ways. On the one hand, if you make the changes to improve the protection of the site, you can go back and become yellow or green. On the other hand, if you decide you're just going to keep drilling for gas, then for sure you're not even going to be red anymore. You're going to be removed from the list. So if you go and look at the World Heritage website, it's very interesting. When it comes to the site in Oman and the site in Germany, they keep the name, but it has a big line going through it, and then parentheses, delisted year so-and-so. So they keep the memory that it was once the World Heritage Site, but it also reminds people that it was also delisted. So it becomes a bit of a lesson learned for other countries. And so when we look more at cultural sites, there are three subcategories of sites. Some sites are monuments, like single standalone monuments, like the pyramids. These are these monuments. Or the Notre Dame in Paris, or any of these like single monuments that are standalone, which can include archaeological sites as well, or monumental artwork. So for instance, the Bamiyan Buddhas of Afghanistan, they're in the category of monuments, but also red, because they're